we're live.
All right,
and here we are.
Good, and here we are. Well, welcome everybody. It's Val and Roy. We're back for another fine...
Riveting.
Yeah. Oh, this one's going to be riveting today, I think. Right, we're going to talk about mosaic nippers. So all things
And this was something
nippers.
someone asked us to do, right? So, I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
Because
Because
these are the best when someone asks us instead of us
Right.
just trying to make something up. Right?
because there are several, and so we were just going to kind of...
Yeah, when you think about it, I know I
Clean
thought
them
about
up.
sometimes like you think, oh, it's a glass nipper. It's kind of a simple tool, but we sell like a few of them. So we thought we would just show you the ones that we carry and kind of talk about the different attributes of them. And one of the could be a fun thing is that Val doesn't use the nippers a lot, so she's actually going to be doing at least one of them, maybe two of them, like she's never
gosh, who
used
knows?
before,
We'll
and we're
see.
going to see what happens, right? So kind of give you the perspective from someone that's never used a tool and whether
Right.
you like it or don't like it, right? So
Well, I've nipped, but I've just used these. This is the only thing I've used.
yeah,
Well, I don't
she's
want people to
nipped.
think I'm
Yeah,
totally new.
she's nipping.
I've
She's
nipped with
a nipper,
these.
but
I've
she
nipped
just
with these, but not these.
no. Yeah, so I guess we should clarify that a little bit, right? I mean, I know I often call them mosaic nippers, but sometimes people just simply call them glass nippers.
Or wheeled nippers.
Or wheeled nippers, right? So that's which is actually the common theme with all that we're going to show you here is that they all do have wheels, right? So, and we have about 3 different brands here on the table. Delphi does sell them all, and I'm sure Noah, if he's on fast, he could give you some links to where those are at. But and they all really work. I mean, I think they're all good quality tools, the ones that we're showing. I think some of it's just personal preference. You'll see there is a difference in price
Yeah, I
points,
was gonna
obviously.
say.
So that might make your decision about what you're trying to do. So which ones do you want to see first?
Well,
The one that we
why don't
sell the
ta-
most of. Yeah, let's do that.
Do that one.
Good.
This
Yeah.
one that we sell the most of, right?
Yeah, this is a Diamond Tech tool, Studio Pro, right? So it's called the Jennifer's Mosaics Wheeled Glass Nippers. So again, don't even use the word mosaics in there.
Look, I'm doing the right
so
camera.
Are you doing the right camera? Are they
Doing
switching?
the right camera. Oh,
Yeah. Now we're on
Roy
this camera.
told me that camera.
It's good. You're all good.
All right. All right.
Yeah, we don't
Well,
know.
one of the things, like I said, I'm not that familiar with using these. I don't use them very much. But one of the things that, I don't know, you'll probably will talk about it, but I was going to say is when I squeeze it, the wheels don't touch. And that, a lot of people think there's something wrong with them because they don't touch, but that's how they're supposed to be.
That's how they're made, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can't use them on real thin glass because they just won't quite
Well,
work.
you actually can. But one of the things that, like I said, we sell a lot of these tools, and this particular nipper, we use this in a lot of our mosaic classes or even our fusing classes. If you like, we'll get a chance to we'll show you a couple of fused pieces that were done with using the nipper. And we've used a bunch of them, and so there's. I'm going to show you a couple ways of kind of altering them to kind of fit, what you're trying to do with them. They do, as Val is pointing out, when you do squeeze them, there is a certain amount of. There's a little gap between the two wheels, and it might be too wide of a gap depending on what you're doing. If you're using really thin glass, or I know in the fusing world when we're using the dichroic that Delphi sells tends to be really thin. It's like done on thin glass. So what can happen is that when you squeeze it, you might not get the wheels coming together close enough to break the dichroic glass. So what you want to do is, the way they come in the package is like this, right? So you have to put the spring in. I'm going to show you guys how to do that so you can see what that's like. Pretty simple, really. You'll probably chase this spring around your studio like every time, almost every time you use them, which is always fun. So there's these 2 little nubs on the inside here, and that springs just go right on top of that. What I've done before too, if you're having some problems with your spring jumping off all the time, I've actually taken a pair of pliers and pinched, once you get the spring on, if you pinch the spring right where it's on that nub, it'll kind of grip onto that nub better and less likely to fall off. But if you're having an issue with the not meeting where you want them to, I just take a metal file and I just file the nubs down a little bit. I mean, it's really simple. If you have a file that's got, usually they're 2-sided, you just slide the file in and then you just I close this and then move it back and forth, and you'll just take a little metal off and you do it until the wheels are closer. I did that with a lot of them in our fusing classroom because we are using them on dichroic, and as Val pointed out, they often don't get close enough, but pretty easy to fix. The other nice thing, could be a nice thing about this tool is that the wheels are slightly loose, and I know sometimes this bothers people. And I can tell you what the manufacturer says is the reason the wheels are loose is that every time you're using them and you're hitting your point of contact changes as you go. So you're not always wearing the exact same spot on the wheel all the time, which makes a lot of sense to me, right?
Good.
So the thinking is you got to almost always a fresh surface as you're nipping. But I do also know the negative side to that is sometimes there's too much movement in the wheel, and what can happen is they can start to loosen and they'll tip like this, and then you start getting some weird breaks. So it's this little kind of bolt that's in here gets loose and you have to tighten it back up. So I actually have a little trick. Did you see it on this one?
Yeah, I see it.
You see
It's
it?
not an Allen wrench, huh?
Yeah, it is an Allen wrench.
Oh.
So what it takes is an Allen wrench. I think, if I'm not mistaken,
it's not
it's
that
a
tricky.
6 millimeter one, if I'm not mistaken, or I'm totally mistaken. It's a 4 millimeter one. Nope, it's even smaller than that. Don't listen to me. It does take an Allen wrench, though, and I'm pretty sure a metric one, which is what I brought in. So hopefully that's right. This is good. This is what the first part of the presentation is me trying to figure out the Allen wrench. So it's like a 3 millimeter. So it goes here, and then you will loosen the wheels up, right? So we'll loosen that up when they're brand new from the factory. They're kind of tight. And then, so they'll get loose over time, and you just, again, get an Allen wrench, you can tighten them back up. But one of the tricks that I have, if you don't like the wheel moving all the time and rolling, is I put a washer behind the wheel. And I brought some in just to show you guys real quick, because this might be a nice little tip that you might like. This is a 1/4 inch washer, a flat washer. And I just put the washer right here where I took that wheel off. I put the wheel back on.
Who is it? This camera?
Yeah, I don't know which camera.
This camera?
It's this guy.
Is it this camera?
Yeah.
Jarrell's on it. Good job, Jarrell. And then I just tighten that back up, right? So give me a second to do that, right? And then tighten it back up with the Allen wrench. What happens is now the wheel is locked in place and it doesn't move at all. It doesn't roll, it doesn't slide, it doesn't, tip. It still can loosen up. That happens sometimes when you're using them a bunch, but by putting that washer, if you can see the back of it, how I put a washer on there, it tightens the wheel up so it doesn't move. So a lot of it, I think, just depends on how you want to work. I like I said before, I know sometimes the wheel moving a bit bugs some people.
But then it's not you're gonna keep using the same surface.
Yeah, and then you just have to remember, right? Good point, Val, right? So you're gonna keep using the same point of contact. So you have to periodically loosen it up, rotate the wheel a little bit.
Right.
But I'll tell you, we use these things all the time here, and I rarely ever have to replace a wheel on them from getting dull. So if you look at this pair, I've already, this is one I pulled out of the classroom. You can see I have the washers on the back side of that. So again, kind of locking the wheel
And they
in place.
sell these replacement wheels?
Yep, we sell the replacement wheels in case you need to replace them, right? So pretty easy to do. And I'm just putting this one back together.
And I've also heard of people marking a spot with a
Oh, yeah, that's a great
on the
idea.
wheel if they keep them locked.
Right, so that then they know where they need to rotate beyond that.
Yeah, then you know which one has to go. Yeah, and these you'd have to do that. There's no markings on the wheel. You'll see another one here in a little while that's got a marking on the wheel that kind of tells you where you need to go. But these don't. So a really nice tool, relatively on the lower end of the expense, especially of the four that we're going to show you today. I think this one is the least expensive
But yeah,
one.
they
so.
work well. I mean,
Yeah, they work
we sell
well.
a ton of those, right?
Oh man, we sell a bunch. I can tell you, so one of the other slight negatives, and we'll show you some of the positives on some of these other ones, is just the weight of it, right? I think that's the complaint I get sometimes from people. I mean, they're metal, right? So they're really durable. They're going to hold up really well. But if you're nipping for like 8 hours, sometimes that can be a little much.
You can get a sore
but,
arm, yeah, for sure.
I guess it's a matter of opinion. So then we have these other tools. These are made by a German company called Bohle. It's B-O-H-L-E. They make two different versions, and really, so they kind of make like a lower end priced one, and then a higher end one is what the German ones are. And same sort of thing. One of the nice things about the German ones is they are aluminum, so they're a little lighter in weight. So if you want to see what that one's like, right?
Oh, thanks.
That's called the Zag Junior.
It's lighter in weight, but it's stiff.
Yeah, so the way this one works is instead of having a spring, between the handles, it's actually a piece of metal up here that springs back open. So there's a little, tension on there. I've heard over time that can break, right? I have never witnessed it personally, but that's what I've heard.
And what is this?
Yeah, so what this is on the back, and you can remove this if you like. It's a way of stopping the glass. So like if you are, let's say you're nipping, right? You're nipping, and then the glass will hit that and then fall down. So if you were like over a bucket or a bowl or something, you could nip, and then everything you do is going to fall straight down into the bowl.
Kinda
It's
cool.
actually a nice little feature, right? Yeah, I forgot to mention that on this one. I have to back up for a second. But there is a little, there's this little device here in the middle of it that it's for, you can kind of place it in different spots, and it's a way of stopping glass. So again, if you're trying to get the same size of something, you could come in, you would hit that thing, and then you know that's where you need to cut it. I can tell you I don't personally use it that much because it's limiting sort of on what you can do size-wise, but it's kind of there.
It's there.
It's in case you need to do that, right? This one, same deal, right? So the wheels here are fixed, so you would have to loosen this up. You know, there's a bolt here, right? You would loosen that up, rotate the wheels, and as Noah pointed out, a good point would be to put a little mark where you're cutting, so that when it gets dull and you got to rotate it, you know which part you did, right? Those are the Zag Juniors.
Okay, which one is this the least expensive
Yeah,
of the
this is
two?
the least expensive of the two, right?
Okay. Can I just nip with it?
Yeah,
for a
go ahead and
minute?
nip that. What do you want to nip?
I'll just
You can nip a strip. Well, how about that?
nip. I'm going to nip a strip.
Let's go.
So,
That's it.
yeah, that is kind of cool that it hits that because, often when we use those other ones, we usually put it in a big bag.
Yeah, I was gonna. I'll show that. in a
Oh, you're
second,
gonna,
but
sorry.
Sorry, that's all right. I had a
One
whole
of the
thing
only
planned
things I
about that.
got, and you were
That
going
was-
to take it. Gosh.
Great. What else were you
Yeah,
talking
no,
about
these
now?
are pretty good.
I was gonna talk about
Yeah,
that.
because this will keep it kind of right.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't fly around, right? So I mean, even this, it
Yeah,
just
that's
falls right
really
on top of the
nice.
table. So
And
you don't have to go chasing it.
It does work
but
easier than I thought it would.
yeah, they're a nice tool. They're real nice tools. Again, most of these I'm showing you are, right? And this is the other bowl one. This one's a little step up in price, but it does have a couple other features to it that are nice. One is does have a spring here in the middle, so it just opens back up, so it just makes it a lot easier when you're squeezing it. You'll notice that it's a little narrower, like this one is too. They have narrower grips to them, which is just easier on your hand too if you're doing this for a long time. This one's also aluminum, so it's a little bit lighter in weight.
lighter
I don't know
weight,
if you know what's going on
Yeah,
with that.
I do. I know.
I feel that you've used this one before.
I don't think I've used it. I've held
Yeah.
it before.
Yeah, it's nice. I'll warn you though about
is
these
easy.
two German ones that they're really designed for glass and not really all that great for doing any kind of ceramic tile. So I wouldn't cut any tile with these. They're really a glass tool. The issue is you can damage the wheels or bend the little bolt that's in here holding them on. So again, this one also, the wheels are replaceable. The wheels are fixed. So you do have to mark them so you know where the point is that you're using them at. Nice. So I like them because they're really light. Oh, they also come with this, which I didn't mount it on there, but it has this little bag that literally mounts here on the back so that when you're nipping, it will just fall into the bag like the little piece of glass will. So, yeah, I didn't put it on.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to show you some other ways. And then the last one is, this one's made by Creators. It's called a Briar. I grabbed the wrong box.
What is this?
Those are running players. Those aren't the those aren't the
Oh.
nippers.
It's got a picture of the nipper on it, though.
No, there's the running players. But
Oh, sorry.
oops. Well, it looks just like this. I mean, the box for this.
Pretend this picture is
Yeah,
on
pretend
this
it's one,
box.
but it's exactly the same. So
I don't think anybody would have seen that.
they wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't
Yeah,
said
you
it.
just had to-
Now Jarrell's gonna like get a. He's
I
gonna
know.
go sharp
We're just gonna
focus
lay
on
that
that.
down. We're gonna lay
All
that
right.
down.
So yeah, must have been one of my assistants didn't grab the right box. So, but this is but this is really what those look like. And I think one of the first things you're gonna notice is the handles, right? Much different configuration than the first three that I showed you. These are supposed to be a little more
Ergonomic.
Thank you, ergonomic.
Ergonomic,
That's why
yeah.
I can never say that word. Ergonomic. So it's a little more comfortable on your hands. Again, if you are not familiar with doing these, or maybe you are familiar with working with these nippers, they sometimes can be a little tough on your hands over the course of time, right? So if you have carpal tunnel or some arthritis, tendinitis, those types of things. These little bit lighter ones. This one is also
That one's
like
pretty light.
it's real light. It's
Yeah.
most of it's plastic except for the wheels parts, right? And so it is much lighter in weight. And then you just hold it differently, which is a little bit, I think, friendlier on your wrist, right? So I guess that's the ergonomic part of it. We'll show you in a second how these work. This one does also have like a little knob on the front here, so you can adjust for how far apart the wheels are depending on the material that you're cutting. So it can be wider or narrower, just depending. So to Val's point, if you're cutting dichroic, you can adjust that. Nice tool, real light. So
now, am I right? In these, you can't adjust, or can you make these close tighter?
you can't make those any tighter.
cannot?
That's what they are.
Okay.
But they're pretty tight. Did you see them?
I saw.
No? That would cut a piece of dichroic.
No, I'm just saying, but I just wondered if you could get them thinner or more
no, you
together,
cannot.
because there is a space there.
Well, I guess, there is. If you take the spring out, then you can see those two little nubs that are knocking there. I guess you could file those down. And this aluminum, it'd take you probably like 2 seconds to file it down. So you could get them closer, but they're pretty close, I would say. All right, what else do you need to? Oh, let's just show you how they work, right? So again, I showed you on the table, there's some examples of traditional mosaics, right, where we glue something to a surface and then grout it. There's some that are more like fused, right, like that one in front of Val is fused. Not everything on the table here was done with the nippers, but I can tell you that a large majority of almost everything. I know that piece that you have in front of you is almost all nippers, except for the green part there. If you can see like this particular piece, right? So like almost everything in here was cut using the nippers. I didn't make this piece, Melanie made this piece, right? So we have a few pieces made by someone that works that does a lot to do with our print catalogs, Melanie. And so she did a few of these pieces, like 3 of them actually that I grabbed in there. Then her daughter made some of these fused ones. Some of them are mine, and I can show you how I normally work if you guys want to see how I like to do my pieces. This is a piece that I did using Van Gogh glass. If you're not familiar with that, it's this kind of painted glass that has like a visual texture to it, like glue chip, if you're familiar with glue chip. It's the one that Val was cutting out earlier. So usually what I like to do is cut things into a strip. And then so you can see this piece here was done, in fact, all this was done with nippers. And I cut everything into strips beforehand. And one of the advantages to that is just that it gives you at least one dimension that's kind of uniform in size, which brings kind of, I think, a continuity to the piece a bit. But I know it's a matter of taste and opinion about what that looks like. But, and then as Val was pointing out, a lot of times when we're nipping, because I'm sure somebody's out there right now going, how come they're not wearing safety glasses, right, when we're doing this? It's because we're going to nip inside a bag. So this is, I know it looks like it's just a Ziploc bag, but I call it Roy's Mosaic Nipping Bag.
For crying out loud.
Which I think Delphi will be carrying shortly.
That's right. Okay.
And,
You're going to be the
I'm
vendor.
pretty sure
huh?
it's going to be
Okay.
in there. And so if you just like, I'm going to take this piece, right? I'll show you how I cut stuff.
Is there a turn? So there is a way.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is the way I hold on to them, right? So I hold on to them with the wheels facing in, not like this where the wheels facing out. Main reason why is because I think I can see better what I'm trying to nip if the wheels are facing in. So if you're left-handed, it's going to be more like this, right? The other thing is, when you hold a pair of pliers in your hand, to make it comfortable, you just automatically kind of tip them. I don't know if you can see that angle, right? It's kind of leaning back a bit. So when you cut doing that, you tend to get more of a curve to the piece of glass. I know you can't really see it all that well. There's a slight little curve to the end of that strip. If you're really trying to get straight looking stuff, it helps to have the wheels straight on top of each other. So when you're holding it in your hand, you have to kind of rotate your wrist over a bit. So again, the wheels are on top of each other. I'll warn you though that this is not, if you want precise, isosceles triangles and perfectly square pieces, it's not going to give you that. But it does give you things that look a lot like a square. So let me just nip a piece, right? So I cut that one real quick so you can see, it looks pretty square. If you want
I have
that.
one that's pretty square.
Yeah. Ooh, look at that. All right, I'm going to have you nip that one. So then, and then if you want to cut like skinny rectangles, I almost always start out with little squares because I find that easier if you have a strip and you're trying to cut a tiny rectangle from it. Wow, I did a pretty okay job with that actually. A lot of times they get more curved. The skinnier you're trying to make them, you get this natural kind of curve to them, which might not be bad, but if you want them to be straighter, I cut a square first and then come in and then cut the square in half, and you tend to get little straighter looking, little tiny rectangles. The other thing we can do is if you want triangles, I find it easier again to cut a square and then cut corner to corner, and then you can get something that kind of looks like a triangle, right? So you can see I cut these 2 triangles from that one piece, so pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. And again, that's how I did everything that's in this piece or the dragonfly that's down there.
Or you can just be random. You
or
you
it
don't
can be
have
random.
to be that precise.
You want to cut some? You want to try it?
I've done that one. I don't want to
Oh,
use
you
that one.
don't want to use this one?
I like this one, I think.
All right.
This one feels really lightweight.
You want to cut inside a bag so you don't shoot me with a piece of glass?
Okay.
Or do you secretly want to shoot me with a piece of glass?
No,
Maybe it's not even secretly. Maybe.
But I do think that those were, right. So these feel kind of long.
Yeah, you have to kind of get the angle's a little different too about how you
So,
nip them. So
like this?
you want to come in and yep, just like
this?
that. Yep.
Okay,
Oh, just go ahead and nip it without
cover
even the
your
bag.
eyes.
I don't have to because I already know what's going to happen. Did you notice? Well, this one has what's nice
think I did a
about
good
these
job.
briar. These aren't briar. These are Breda. That's the
Breda?
yeah. That's the name of the nippers.
Oh.
Briar is the running pliers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sorry, creators.
Oh, but these are.
I didn't mean to mess up the name of your products, but
these are very smooth.
these are Breda. Breda. That's what they are. Yeah. So can I grab from you real
Yes.
quick? Yeah. So the other nice feature about this one, I don't know
Yeah, I
how
like
well
that
you
one.
can see this, but there's this rubber ring right here, right behind the wheel. So there's the cutting wheel, and then there's this rubber ring right here. And so when you cut, like as Val was showing, it will hold on to the piece.
Oh, I felt like it kind of did.
So the piece doesn't go shooting around,
really nice.
and it's right there in your hand, so it doesn't go, shooting around and shoot Noah or something.
But it was very smooth.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
I want you to cut like a triangle or cut like some fancy stuff.
See,
Can you cut
Fancy stuff
Can you
would
cut a
be-
rhomboid?
okay.
This is riveting. We said it was going to be riveting.
I told
right?
ya.
We
And
said at the
then-
beginning. Did we lose everybody, Noah?
Hey, I got triangles.
Diehard fans of
Good, thank you, people.
But
For sticking around with us.
sometimes can I do this?
Yeah, so I was showing you guys. So one way that I work is a lot of times I just work with strips, but another great way is just working with a chunk of glass. And so Val's going to show you how to just
Is this
cut a piece.
like
yeah.
this?
Yeah, just go in there and start cutting.
But see, these feel a little bit like they don't open as much as.
You can get them on there. And you tend to get a little bit more irregular pieces. Let me show you
Yeah,
this one real
like
quick.
that
I'm gonna
one, right?
pick this one up if I can do this without knocking it over. But if you look at the water in the background, again, this is another piece by Melanie, did a great job. The water or the sand was done sort of what Val's doing.
Yeah, I can
so
tell by
you just
the-
start cutting a piece of glass and just keep cutting it, and you end up with all these really kind of fun, irregular shapes that, especially I think work well for water or work well for,
Yeah.
organic stuff like ground or grass. There's another one. I know we should have Melanie come in and do this because she.
Yeah, really.
Because here's another one that she did up. I'll show you this one real quick. The background is probably more like more similar to what I do, like using strips or something. But if you can see the grass, so she cut these tiny little pieces that they look like grass, right? It really gives you that visual of all this kind of, and they were just done again with the nippers. And if you look close at these, they all have a little kind of a curve to them, and you can kind of accentuate that by, let me set that down if that's all right. You can kind of accentuate that by actually tipping the pliers. So in this situation, if you kind of curve them, so instead of having them straight up and down with the wheels, just tip it slightly, then as you cut, you get these really nice kind of organic curves to the piece, which I'm pretty sure that Melanie did something very similar for the grass part. So some of it's just, which way you tip the tool, how you hold it. You can get some kind of fun stuff. But yeah, if you can see what Val did here and with that bigger piece, what if, again, a little bit more organic approach to it,
Right.
which is kind of fun. My way tends to be a little too structured, I think, for most people, right? So, well, for Val anyways.
For me.
But the other thing too is, what a great way of using scrap. So I grabbed this
Right.
is some scrap we had laying around, right? All these irregular, cut pieces. But you can just come in with nippers and just start, cutting this up. And if you're really trying to make things look more, normal or more like a square or more like a triangle, again, the more you cut it, the more that you can make things look like they're like a planned shape and not just, even though you started with an irregular piece of glass, like, I got some triangles cut out of that. I cut a square out of it.
Well, and say even though you're nipping a piece because you have a specific space you want to do, and you do this part, right, then you can also come back with those and nip off a corner. I mean, you can
that's a
shape.
great point. Yeah, because let me show you.
You don't have to just be 1, 1, 1.
Yeah, let me show you this again, because this, I know sometimes people ask me about this. I know it's hard to see because it's dark, but the eyes of the dragonfly, they look like little ovals. I didn't cut ovals. I actually did that all with a nipper, as Val's pointing out, right? I mean, so things don't have to be, geometric, straight lines, right? They can be a little bit more organic and a little more freeform. And I just nipped it around until I thought it looked like, something sort of round. I think that's what Melanie did with the centers of those flowers too, if you want to show that
they're
real
just
quick.
nipped.
Yeah, they're snipped, right? I mean, I know they look pretty round, but again, they're just using the nippers. And you can just be real delicate with it, right? I mean, you just come in, just nip off little corners, and someone's going to have to clean this room when we're done.
Yeah, so that is,
yeah, I know it's not that super exciting, but you can see how I just rounded
Right.
off that little short, sharp corner.
but if you made a small enough triangle, then all you would have to do is go back in and nip off all those corners and
Yep.
kind of whittle your way down.
Yeah, same thing on this one. If you look at the black dots, I got a couple like up in here, these little tiny black dots that are here. They were just a little square that I cut, and I just nipped off the corners to make them look round, right? Again, if you look real close, they're not round, but they, they fool enough people. So
Yeah, good.
good. Yeah, what else, right? We talked about all the nice
The different
tools, different ways of
nippers.
cutting them, different materials. I mentioned it earlier too. I think really a lot of the tools we're showing you are really best designed for glass. You can do glass tiles with them, right? I mean, you could easily, all of these could cut glass tile, which I didn't think about bringing in. But I would stay away from ceramic. I find some of them aren't all that friendly on the ceramics. These actually, though, tend to be a little bit better. You could do probably little small ceramic tiles with them, but some of the other ones aren't really designed for that. They're really designed more for glass, especially the German ones. Wow.
Wow, well,
I don't know
good.
what else other than, I guess that was
No
it, but-
questions?
No questions. Wow, man,
so
that means the
thorough.
room must be doing a thorough job. That's how I look at it.
that's right.
Well, if you guys have questions, right? So if you think of something later, or if you're not watching us live and you have a question, I mean, feel free to reach out to us. Noah does a great job of either answering it or getting us a question so we can answer it. So you can always email us at Facebook at delphiglass.com, or
Oh,
you
yeah,
can,
where are they?
you can message us on Instagram,
YouTube.
or Facebook, and
Oh,
you
you
can
can watch
catch
them
us,
on-
watch us on
watch
YouTube,
us on YouTube.
right? So we're everywhere.
all over the world.
All over.
Yes, we are. Well, I think we're probably coming back in a couple weeks, right? Is
Yeah.
that the plan?
So
I
send
think. Yep. So
suggestions if you have any.
yeah, if you have any
because
suggestions. Otherwise, Val and I got to come up with some.
That's
which
right. We may have to do
It takes us
nippers
easily
again.
2 weeks to figure it out. So. Well, thanks for joining
Yeah,
us. We'll
thanks.
see you guys.
We'll see you next time.